And we are back. And tell you what, guys, I'm fresh off that Sharks v Tigers game. And as a fantasy coach, how good was it? 10 minutes of extra time. Terrell May racking up more points there. I guess a lot of us just creaked past the 1,000 point mark because of that golden point. Myself, I grabbed the 1,020 score, jumped back into about rank 1,000 right now. I saw a lot of you guys just squeak past. I've seen a few screenshots of exactly 1,000 scores too. So if you grabbed 1,000 plus this week, you've done fantastically well. If you went sort of 950 to 970-ish, that's about par, I would say. And if you've gone below the 950 mark, you've had a tough week. But look, it happens to everyone. It bounces around every week. I'm talking about something different. So, just roll on to next week and you'll be sweet. Now, going through these scores, Terrell May, headliner here, 92 points. The big thing here is 85 minutes for him. He played nearly the full game. He did go off for a short rest. It was about 2 to 5 minutes there. But for him, 85 minutes is absolutely massive. If it was a full game without golden point, it would have been 75 minutes, which is still huge. And the stat line here for 92 points is just absurd. Like, it's ridiculous. So no attacking stats, 41 tackles with the 3 tackle breaks there. No missed tackles. You've got 8 offloads. That's 8 offloads. About 4 of them were in the last sort of 15 minutes of the game. And then 200 meters run as well. So for Terrell May, this 92-point game is replicatable. There's nothing in this that I can sort of say, oh, that's a fluke, that's this, that's that. This is all completely replicatable. So, yeah, I mean, it's Terrell May or Payne Haas as your captain every week. That's the big thing there. I do think that we haven't quite seen the ceiling of Payne Haas yet. So that Dogs game, right? Like if you threw a try onto that, which he looked close to getting a couple of times, he jumps up to like 120. I think he has that 130, 140 game in him at some point this year. Whereas Terrell May, I think he's a bit safer in terms of downside, like doesn't go as low as Payne Haas does, but I don't think he quite has Terrell's best day versus Payne's best day. I think Payne's best day would be a bit better, but Terrell's a bit safer on the bottom end. So yeah, it's May and Haas. Like you really can't be captaining anyone else other than these two at this point. Fanua Blake's up next, 69 points for him. Got extra minutes in Golden Point, right? But 69 is still good. Let's call it a 60 in a regular game. That's fine. That's a bounce back. He's been dropping a bit of cash. He had the groin issue 2 weeks ago. Got a bit of a rest last week. They had a big win. So I'm looking at him as a guy I'm going to be targeting for round 12. It's just a matter of when we do it. I might do it this week or next week or the week after. We'll have a look at when it suits. But I think in the next couple of weeks, you should be grabbing Fanua Blake for the origin period. Then Galvin, great score, but not super fancy relevant. Doesn't play round 12. Mortalo might be in the origin team. Probably not, but it could be. So I just wouldn't really be targeting him. Nico Hines, bit of a bounce back game, 61 points from him. I don't know. I mean, I left that game a bit less convinced than I was going into it about Nico. So, like the stat line here, I'll just jump to the right first. So you got the 42 kick meters. He had those 42 kick meters in the first sort of 5 minutes or so, and then really just didn't kick the ball following that, which was very concerning. He was going for all the field goals, so there wasn't an issue with his leg or anything like that. Like he nearly kicked one from 50 meters out, hit the post. But for Nico, that role he has wasn't great because he was playing that sort of 6 role without really running the ball for about 60 minutes. Then he sort of woke up in the last 20 minutes and sort of started running the ball a bit more, hitting the line, running a bit more direct, set up that try just on halftime with his first sort of good run of the game. And I don't know, it seemed like he kind of figured it out a bit. So I'm hopeful that he has figured it out and he sort of goes back to, that old Nico because we know what he can do, right? We know exactly what Nico Hines can do. But it seems to be in his head. Like he's just not playing that physical sort of style that made him so good originally. And I think he could just go and do it. Like maybe I'm oversimplifying this, but I think he's got it in him. And I think he could jump back to a 65 average if he does do it. Now, 61 points, we can't complain too much, but it had the 2 try assists there. And just that base, that sort of base, no tackle breaks there. Like one offload, that sort of base in there is what we want him to work on here. Then Seyfarth up next, 60 points. Good for him. Extra time definitely helped. McInnes was solid as well, 57. Hazelton, Burns was good. Burns doesn't have enough time in the team. So Teague Wilton's only 2 to 4 weeks. Burns, he played well. He is cheap, but his time in the team will be limited. Then Kennedy, solid, but not super fancy relevant in my perspective. Coruscant, I did pick up a bit of an injury. So if he ever was hurt long term, it would be very interesting for Talon De Silva, but I think he'll be okay. Dewey was solid back at center. Fainu scored a try. He was quite good as well. Going down the list here, Brayley Kafusi, we've got Luai there. So Luai is worth mentioning here. Back to some more aggressive, sort of on-the-ground attacking numbers there. Only the 1 tackle break, but he had 5 offloads and 100 meters run. Now, the keep meters were low, but that running game came back for Luai a bit this week. And I'm watching him, right? I'm just kind of watching him because he's dropped 136K. He's down to 450K. I think if he gets that running game going again, he'll jump back up to sort of 600K. And that's a 150K gain, right? But I probably wouldn't buy him before round 12. So round 13 is kind of when I'm going to be thinking about this Luai. Just keep an eye on him. If those run meters sort of start creeping up, those offloads come back, maybe some tackle breaks as well. We saw glimpses tonight. Didn't see the full thing, but I've got my eyes on him 100%. Brenton Aiden, solid, 39 points. You can't shout at that. Stafford Toa grabbed to 39 as well. He was pretty solid at times in this game. So he started hot, had the try assist, had some good plays, and sort of got quiet towards the end. Did clutch at a hand or wrist or forearm injury as well at one point. So again, just keep an eye out for him on the injury list too. Then Buller, solid enough. Ramian 12. Nakora grabbed to 27. He was sin bin in this game. He's down 70K to 621K. He's going to get cheaper. Nakora is a guy who, he gets hot at the right time and sort of gets a bit streaky. He's in the same camp as Nico Hines, though. Like, that edge needs to sort of wake up a bit. So, I don't know. I could consider Nakora. My team can use an extra back rower for round 12 because I have that flexibility of Kidione Kautonga. So I might look at Nakora in the next week of a couple of weeks, but don't rush him in. Let him drop a bit of cash first. He gets down to sort of 570K. That's a very attractive option for your team. Then Talakai, solid bird. Yeah, look down this list. It's not too much to talk about. Trindle scored 18, so he's going to get a bit cheaper, but, not cheap enough. And Hiroti, he's out for 3 to 6 weeks, MCL knee injury. So if you've got Hiroti, I think it's Hiroti, that's how you pronounce it. But if you've got Hiroti in your team, then it's time to sell him. He'll be gone, and Kale Iro is coming back into the team. Now, rolling through, Raiders v Dolphins, and another crazy game of footy. Dolphins led this game 28-12. They had the blueprint. They absolutely destroyed Canberra's right edge defense. They were just running to the line. It was particularly Katoa was going to the line, and he was feeding Herbie Farmworth, and they were just unstoppable. And the Dolphins then stopped doing that for some reason at halftime. Sort of went to a completely different strategy and, got absolutely pumped in the second half. 28 unanswered points for the Raiders here in this win. So, yeah, I mean, if you're a Dolphins fan, that was a frustrating watch. If you're a Raiders fan, you would have loved it. And Raiders fantasy players, some of them really bailed out their scores with some late tries, but, they weren't consolation or cheap tries. They were tries to win the game. So they all count, right? And these ones count especially. So Fogarty first, he was really quiet to start. 10 points in 30 minutes to start the game. Ended up on 67. Really bounced back. I think his update goes up to about 73, by the way. I did have a look at that. So he'll jump up to 73 points, which is huge. For him, 55 run meters is very high for Fogarty. Had the try as well. Just went straight through. The Dolphins just sort of thought, you know what, Fogarty's not going to run. We won't defend him. And he just walked straight over the try line at the end of the game. Tapane was good too. 64 points. Obviously, the offload try assist definitely helps. That play was worth about 11 points. So you take that off, it's a 53. But he is a guy who I would consider him like that sort of, 40 scorer plus extra minutes sometimes to 50, sometimes to 60, and then attacking stats to 70 or 80 sometimes as well. So, between 40 and anything really, 40 and 90 is sort of Tarpane's range. He's not really going below, 40 or high 30s there much. So, yeah, Tarpane's been solid. If you have him, stick with him. If you don't, maybe give him a week or two. He might drop a bit of cash before you have to buy him around 12 if you do want to do that. Gilbert bounce back game. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. But 75 minutes here, 56 tackles. Pretty solid for him just in terms of defensive work rate. The rest of it wasn't that special. Max Plath will come back next week, so I don't see this one as being super relevant. Horsburgh, 55 minutes, 61 points. Keep Horsburgh until the wheels fall off, but he might make Origin. And he's playing good footy, so he probably will make Origin at this point, but you'll take that score to the bank. May Nicholson grabbed that try at the end, which definitely boosted his score up, but still a solid game from him. He's been rock solid. 80 minutes is the encouraging part there too. So Hoskin came on, played well, but Nicholson kept his 80-minute role. It looks like he has that going forward. Tomoko scored 8 points or 5 points, something last week, sub 10 points. And this week he's bounced back with a 53. For him, 170 meters run, the try assist line break there as well. If he got a bit cheaper, I was eyeing him off, but this 53 will ruin that. But if he got down to, because he's 494K, right? Dropped a bunch of cash last week. If he got down to sort of low 400s, I might have bought him. I might have thought about it, but he won't get cheap enough now, so I'm not going to do it. Hudson Young, yeah, really base stat performance here. 200 meters run is crazy. The 30 tackles, 5 tackle breaks as well. 52 points, that in the attacking stats. You can live with that. Starling solid as well. Hammer with the 50. Herbie Farmworth a 48. Quite a game from Herbie's standards there. So 4 tackle breaks, 2 offloads, 155 run meters there. Had the try, which definitely helped, but only 48 points. So his lowest score of the year. But that is crazy that a center, 8 rounds in, has the lowest score of the year at 48. So he's just been rock solid, super consistent, averaging 58 points. He's getting it done. Then Hosking grabbed the try there, which definitely saved his score. Not interesting in fantasy at all. I'm sort of hoping he gets a bit cheaper and we can buy him at some point in the future. Dan Safidi grabbed the try. He was on 48 points after 29 minutes and didn't come back. Must have an injury of sorts. He must have an injury. I didn't hear during the live call what the injury was, but I would assume that Dan Safidi has an injury based on those minutes there. Then Tamale, 48 points, had the try. Really, other than that, he was quite solid, had 2 line breaks. So he's an explosive guy, and they've got to feed him the ball more. But yeah, 48 points is great. A lot of us held him because of the injuries that we had to other positions, and it's been a godsend. He scored 55 last week, 48 this week. That's absolutely fine. So if you're playing him every week, you don't feel too bad about that. Finafuyaki, a bit better. Avarillo, Sullivan, yeah. And then KO Weeks, bit of a bounce back game for Weeks, but just not solid enough in terms of base stats for my considerations personally. Mark Nichols played at lock this week. He won't play at lock next week, but the 40 points is solid. Then we go down the list. Stone Strange, Chris, Francis Molo came in, played 30 minutes as well. Very low minutes for him too. Lemuelu played bigger minutes. When he came on, it felt like a lot of the ball went his way instead of Herbie's, which I don't know, he was threatening at times, but I just thought Herbie was so unstoppable. They should have gone back to him a bit more. Then down the bottom of the list here is Sarko with a 30. Paddy with a 15. Paddy looked good. He looked good. Nearly scored a try, but just not getting enough minutes there. And then Xavier Savage with a 9-point game. He'll get cheap, but it's going to be the wrong timing for buyers, so probably not an interest point for us as fantasy coaches. Going on the list here, we got Panthers and the Seagulls. Man, the Panthers, they're officially last on the table, which is pretty crazy. And my Eagles are sitting right there with them. We have had the bye round, so that's the difference between the two teams. But yeah, right now, cherish it while it lasts. The Panthers in last place. I don't think it's going to last that long. I think, a team of that pedigree is going to figure it out at some point. But there's a few options here for Penrith that we do want to talk about in terms of buys and sells. Now, Olakau'atu for Manly is the first guy here, 78 points. For Olakau'atu, I mentioned last week I was eyeing him off as a potential option through the origin period because Manly play all 3 major bye rounds if he didn't make the Blues side. Now, he wasn't going to make the Blues side. He probably still isn't going to make the Blues side, but this performance definitely helps him get back into considerations. So it's a bad performance for him for fantasy in terms of him getting back into origin considerations. And it's also a tough one because it makes his price a bit more expensive. Like he was down to 609K and he was looking at getting cheaper. So probably not someone I'm aggressively targeting anymore. I was kind of hoping he'd get down to 550, similar to Nakora, a bit streaky, one of those guys that you can get through the origin period. But I just can't see him getting cheap enough for me to consider. So, yeah, if you've got Olakau'atu, enjoy the win. Definitely enjoy that score and stick with him. But if you don't have him, I wouldn't be chasing points. DCE, bounce back game in a pretty quiet year for him. So I'm not going to chase it. He plays origin, all that sort of stuff. Not super interesting. Simpkin, better game as well, but Jazz will go back to hooker for a bit soon. Isaac Tungo. Now, this is really interesting. So a couple of years ago, Isaac Tungo was actually an elite center in fantasy. He's had averages of 49 and 42 in the last 3.5 years, right? So he's had some big averages. Last year was an absolute shocker for him, and this year has been bad too, a 30 average this year. But this was a return to form with a 60-point game. Now, for him, no negative stats. You've got the try with the line break there, 16 tackles, no misses, the 5 tackle breaks and offload, and 141 run meters. That feels pretty replicatable. The other thing I will say is last week he got benched, and he came on at halftime for Luke Garner, and I've noticed a difference in him. I feel like he's playing with that physicality, and I'm noticing a lot this year, a lot of players that you want in fantasy, you see them and you watch them play, and they're not playing with that physicality, that dog, And Tungo has that in him, but he hasn't sort of been showing it for the last, year and a half. And I feel like last night I saw it again. And last week when he came off the bench, I saw it too. So I don't really need a center for my fantasy side, but if you needed a center, he's 377K right now. He'll get a bit more expensive than that, but say just under 400K. You could do a lot worse than Isaac Tungo. This is a bet that could pay off. He's had stretches of time in his career where he's averaged 70 points over a month, 80 points over, well, not 80, but 70 points over a month. And he could go and do that again right now. So that's interesting. He plays round 12 as well. Like, yeah, if I needed a center, if I had an injury to a center, something like that, Tungo is an interesting option at that price. Very, very interesting. Ruben Garrick here, solid, 58 points. You keep the faith with him, right? Just ride the wave with Ruben Garrick. Scored a try in this one. Had a few goals as well. They were good against the Panthers. And he is set and forget. He plays all the major bye rounds. He's dual position with center wing fullback. Like, I wish I had Garrick in my team, but I just can't pay the full price. And I need him to get cheaper. He just doesn't get cheaper. So I'm not going to go out and buy him at 650K. But if you've got him, enjoy Ruben Garrick. And if he scores low, don't overthink it. Don't sell him, all that sort of stuff. Nathan Cleary came in at 52 points, and there were three main captain options this week. It was Payne Haas with high 90s, Terrell May with low 90s, and Nathan Cleary with the 50. Now, for Cleary, it's a tough one. I mean, like, I can read through the stats for you here and sort of tell you what happened. But, you know, the one goal there, they weren't attacking much. 21 tackles, 1 miss, that's fine as well. 2 tackle breaks, you know, no offloads, the 2 errors. You got the 80 run meters and the 534 kick meters. So this was pretty much as exclusively base stat as you could ever see from Cleary, right? Pure base stat performance here from Cleary. 52. I don't know. We've had a couple of weeks in a row now with no real attacking stats for Cleary. And last week he scored that 93 with no attacking stats. But this week, it's starting to become a bit of a trend, right? Cleary is not sort of getting those attacking stats. And he's sort of looking up and players aren't where he expects them to be. And, you know, you've heard all the analysis on Fox, right? Like, it doesn't seem to be working very well right now at Penrith. So, I don't know. There's 2 things that are happening. The Cleary keeps trying to play the type of footy that has won them comps, which is sort of a long-term strategy where they're trying to build for the future, or he just tries to carry the team on his back, which isn't – he can go and do it. He could absolutely go and do it, but it's not maintainable over a long period of time, especially with his injury history. So if you put the team on his back, he'd have a great run of scores. He would absolutely kill it, but I think he's going to keep playing this style here, and I think he needs the guys around him to improve if he's going to do well. So if you've got Cleary, stick with him, of course, but if you don't have him, I mean, he's got the buy in round 11. He'll play Origin round 12, all that sort of stuff. Like, you don't want to buy him. And I don't think he's really a serious captain option compared to Haas and May right now. I think it's those 2. And then Cleary, if you want to really roll the dice and you think Panthers are going to win by a lot, right? That's probably the big thing you'd be looking for there. But yeah, Nathan Cleary, it's just not clicking in attack, right? The base stats are what we expect from him. The attack's not there. That's the big problem. Isaiah Yeo, 50 points from him. He was pretty good in this game. I thought watching the game, he looked fantastic. Like, I thought he was everywhere. Stat line doesn't really reflect what I saw, which, you know, I don't have any specific stats I'm arguing with, but I just sort of thought he was bigger than 50 points in that game. So 45 tackles, big tackle count there. The 1 tackle break, 3 misses, and 117 run meters with a penalty. So the issue there was just really minimal tackle breaks, no offloads, no attacking plays, and quite low run meters. So for Isaiah Yeo, you just keep rolling with him, but he might be a sell towards round 11 as well. That round 11 Panthers buy before the Origin period is definitely pretty noteworthy. Then going through Lindsay Smith, 45 points, lower minutes for Lindsay Smith, so he's going to be a bit up and down. That's kind of what you cop with him. Tommy Turbo, 44. Turbo is 598K right now. He's going to get a bit cheaper as well. So Turbo is another one who I'm definitely eyeing off as a cheaper addition to my side at some point. Now, you know, like he looked a bit hobbled at times in this game. Didn't look super explosive. But if you get to round 12 and Turbo doesn't make the Origin side, he plays all 3 major bye rounds. He'll be, you know, closer to 550K at that point. To me, that's pretty irresistible. Right? That's pretty appealing. So I'm keeping an eye on Turbo as well. Like, just these guys, when a guy's out of form, I know you, and a lot of you guys know this, but when a guy's out of form, you should be watching them, you know, and thinking, all right, do I think this guy's going to bounce back? Turbo is a yes. I think he will bounce back. So yeah, I'm eyeing him off. It's similar to Ponga, right? You know, Ponga's a bit different, but you know, you eye those guys off as a non-Ponga, and I'm kind of looking at him like, all right, is that going to bounce back? I'm not as confident about Ponga, by the way. But for Turbo, I think he does bounce back. It's just been a bit of injury-affected stuff. He'll come good and might be around 12 buy as well. Then Bullimore was good in the starting role, but just won't get that role enough and has scored a lot of tries recently. Talangi, Papali'i, in on offense, Papa. Jazz Tavanga played 70 minutes in this game. He had 44 at the end of the game. It's down-dated to a 37. Very disappointing if you got Jazz Tavanga. 6 missed tackles, minus 12 from that. Definitely doesn't help, as well as the error and the set restart. So you're looking at minus 15 points in negatives. If you add those on, it's 52. Yeah, look, I don't know. The fact that they won this game is good news. Like, if you bought Jazz Tavanga, you're happy they won the game because he was a part of them winning that game. And maybe Jake Trbojevic plays some minutes at prop, or something like that happens and Jazz Tavanga keeps a bit of this role, in which case you win. Like, that's basically what you want. The score is less important than Jazz Tavanga keeping the role, and I think he played well. So there's a chance that this works out for you, but I wouldn't be rushing to target him after the Manly bye next week if I was you. But like if you got him, ride the wave. I think he'll. I don't know. He has the potential to do it. I find it very hard to predict it because you're trying to predict what Anthony Seibold is going to do with their middle forward rotations in the face of massive injuries and a declining, superstar lock forward in Jake Trbojevic, who has been excellent through his career, but is sort of at the back end of his career now. So what do they do in that scenario? If you think go and make a pick. Dylan Edwards, 36. And again, I thought Edwards was better than this too. Like, watching the game, especially in the first half, he looked like he was on for a big score. Second half, he cooled off. So he had the 9 tackle breaks, which is great. 146 run meters is extremely low for Dylan Edwards. But for him, I don't know, he got outleapt for that try by Ola Kawatu. He had a few good moments. He had a few moments where he sort of didn't really see the play the way you'd want your Blues fullback to. Like, there's not a zero chance. There's a more than zero chance that Edwards loses the spot to Tedesco for the Blues. Now, personally, I think they were so dominant last year that you roll back a lot of the Blues team. But a lot of people are talking about Teddy. Could happen. Keep an eye on that. If you're looking at Teddy or Edwards, I would hold off till you know for sure. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. So I'd hold off both of them. Then Alamotti, solid. Kohler, what he can do. He scored that nice try. Waddell, Henry, Ben Trbojevic back to his normal ways at 31. Then down the list here, Liam Martin, 26. It's really quiet. Scott Sorensen with a 23. He's getting really cheap, but just not that interesting. Just like 34 run meters here. So 71 minutes, 34 run meters. Like, he plays the full 80 basically. Just had the sin bit in this one, but just not the guy he used to be in terms of fantasy production. Tommy Jenkins, I'm actually really excited for Tom Jenkins because I think Brian Toll will be back this week or next week. So hopefully Jenkins goes back to center and can score well. I'm going to be holding him pretty much until round 12, basically no matter what. Like, he's not going to lose much cash, if at all. Maybe he goes back to center and becomes good again. Like, I just think there's enough in there that I'm going to stick with him. He plays round 12. That's enough for me. So I'm going to ride the wave with Jenkins. But if you need to sell, you can. I just personally think at 388K, ride the wave, stick with him, see what happens. Navale was good, but I don't think he'll get the minutes consistently at Manly at the middle forward spot. 230K is a good price, though. And then down the list here, Brown, Gaia, Chen Kum Tang, Schneider. Brooks with a 13. Had the 7 missed tackles there and 25 run meters, 50 kick meters. Like, just not a game for Brooks at all. But if Brooks got cheap enough, and again, I'm just going to mention Rob because Rob always talks about it. You'd think about it for Origin, but you'd have to get really cheap for me to consider that. And then Casey McLean with a 13, absolute shocker for him. And Aliha Hapawadi really quiet with an 8-point game. So, yeah, we're not targeting those boys there. Cowboys and Titans. And this was a bounce-back game for a lot of Cowboys players, but we're going to start with a Titan. So it's one Titan, then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Cowboys in the top 8 scorers for this game. The Titan there, alone by himself at the top, is Bo Firma. Had the try, had 2 try savers, a try assist, 2 line breaks. All those attacking stats, right? That's about, 31 points in attacking stats, right? That's great. Then you go 48 tackles with only 3 misses. So you're looking at a net of 42 points for defense, plus the forced turnover, which is a 46-point net. You've then got 5 tackle breaks, 2 offloads there. So a bit of creative base stats there, and then 133 run meters with a kick defusal to round things out. Now, 109 points here for Bo Firma. Is he going to score 109 every week? No, he's not going to score 109 every week. But 609K, he was a good price this week. And I remember chatting to a lot of you guys, well, not a lot, but a few of you were looking at selling him after his recent poor form. 49 with a try, not that great, blah, blah, blah. Both of them was always a hold. I said that to a few of you. Hopefully I talked you into holding him. But yeah, he was always a hold. He's a solid. I wasn't expecting 109, if I'm going to be honest, but he was a solid, sort of mid-50s kind of average in that back row spot. And that is reflected there as well with his average right now. So, yeah, both firm, mate. You stick with him, but I think he's playing so well that he'll be in the origin side. Right, I would be thinking him and Jaden Sewer are the origin back rows. So, him covering center as well. Like they've had Capewell on the team in the past. I think Bo Firma is Capewell on steroids, basically, like a much better football player. And it's not a diss on Capewell, but Bo Firma's he's just so good. So I think he's going to step into that role. He'll play origin, which means I'm probably not buying too many origin players right now. So I wouldn't be chasing this score, and I wouldn't be buying him this week. Tommy Dearden bounced back, and we talked about him a bunch. Remember early in the year as a watch list guy, and this is what we were talking about. Well, I was talking about before with guys that are out of form. So Dearden started the year terribly, and he bounced down to sort of mid 400s. We talked about it as a bit of a pod, but just not the best buy schedule, especially if you made the origin team, which he's probably not going to make the straight up origin team. But if there's an injury, that kind of thing. So for Tommy Dearden, this 82-point game, he's got big last week as well. I think it was a 55 or something last week, like something pretty good. So he's on a real bounce back now. Bump that average back up to 40. He'll surge up. I think it's a bit late now. Like they're playing good footy, but it's a bit late now, isn't it? Like he's going to bump up in price again. He'll be up past 500K. You need to try and find one of these guys before they bounce back, right? And he's kind of completed his, multi-week bounce back here. But for him, 5 tries, this is massive. You've got, 200 meters run as well. This is just an all-time great game from Tom Dearden. Scotty Drinkwater is one that was on our buy list for this week, and 75 points is exactly why. If he played round 12, he would have been the buy of the week, but he doesn't play round 12. So that's the one thing. If you look at your team and you need round 12 players, you probably don't go for Drinkwater. But if you're all covered at wing fullback and you're pretty well covered at round 12, then this 75-point game is replicatable. Like he goal kicked in this game. He had a couple of try assists, a line break there. He had the 5 tackle breaks, 200 meters run, bit of kicking as well, a few offloads. Like this wasn't a crazy game for him to score 75. So yeah, Drinkwater's a great option. He's a good target. Could be a target this week, but like it's just I wouldn't be trading. Say if you got Latrell, I wouldn't be selling Latrell for Drinkwater right now. I just think that's a bit short-sighted. But if you've got other options you're trying to look to move on, or if you have cash in the bank and you want to upgrade someone, then Drinkwater is a good option. So a Stafford Toa for Drinkwater, for example, is an interesting trade. Then Derby, solid, but too late on Derby. Too late as well. He might keep that spot, though, so that could be interesting. I need to hear that he's been winning the spot over Burns, to be sure. But 3 tries was definitely nice. And, he's going to get past 300K. Again, wing fullback, like an untrustworthy wing fullback. Even with that 73, his average is 33, right? So he's a guy who can score you 5 points or 73 points. And again, not super appealing to me. Jeremiah Nanai bounced back, and another one we were looking at here, dropped 150K. He actually could still be an interesting buy for this week. Now, I will caveat this. 72 points includes 2 tries in this game, right? So, it's not like he's going to score 2 tries every week, but he's a try-scoring back rower. And at 430K, he's going to bounce up to, let's say, 450, 460K, right? So he's still going to be about 120K undervalued from last year. That's a good discount. Like that's basically a cash cow if he just goes back to normal. The concern for me is that he potentially could be in the origin picture. And if he plays well like this, which is what you're going to need, what you're betting on, by the way, if you buy him, you're betting on him playing well. If he plays well like this, he makes the origin team on the bench, right? So because Dave Fafita isn't really in that picture. I think Jaden Sewer, Bo Firma, and then maybe Nanai is sort of the origin trio in the back row. So that's the concern there. That would make him pretty irrelevant for you because backing up from origin, he's not going to play 80 minutes. They've shown they're willing to play him for less minutes. So if you backed up from origin, he definitely wouldn't play 80 minutes. So yeah, Jeremiah Nanai is one that I've got an eye on. I've got an eye on, but I don't think I'll do it. But if you want a pod, he is an exciting pod. Reece Robson will play Origin for sure. So, yeah, don't do that. But 70 points is good from him with the try. Murray Talangi, bit of a bounce back too. Yeah, he's sort of had his bounce back already as well, but that was a good game too. John Bateman looked rough in that game, I will say. He he's not passing the eye test at all. So no, you don't want to buy guys who are sort of not playing the best footy. Could lose minutes potentially. Like there's a bit of risk there. Big Tino, 47 points. He'll play Origin anyway. So if you got him, you'll be starting to look at selling him. If you don't have him, you're not buying. Then down to Verrills, Brimson. I mean, Brimson, 44 points. Pretty solid base stat performance from Brimson here. He had the basically 0 attacking stats there. The 30 tackles was a good base. Had 2 forced turnovers, which is a funny stat to have for Brimson. And then just under 100 rod meters and a few kicks in there as well. So, yeah, solid enough from Brimson. Just haven't had that real explosion game from him yet. That's kind of what you're waiting on. You're waiting on that like 80-plus game where he pumps out an 85 and has 3 tries and all that. And it's coming. It's going to happen at some point, but you're just kind of waiting on that with him. Because these games are okay, but you just want that pop game. Then down the list here, Jackson Purdue I'll talk about as well. Grabbed a try, a couple of line breaks in this game, nearly 200 meters run. He had a couple of injuries in this game. So he had the shoulder, he had the head clash, he had a few things there. Got away. All fine, looks pretty good, but he did have that run in the clear where I thought he looked a bit hobbled or a bit injured, and he might have scored that try if he was fully fit. So I'm just keeping an eye on Purdue in that way. I think he might have sort of been beat up in that game, but he seems pretty durable, and I think he'll be right next week. Just keep an eye on him. Then down the list here, Fodawaker, Cotter, Weaver was solid as well. Taumalolo had some good runs in that game. I'll say just as a footy fan, it was good to see Taumalolo making some of those big runs. Down the bottom here, Chris Randall. Can I talk about this, actually? Because Chris Randall, I'll talk about Chris Randall, I'll talk about Dave Fifita. So Chris Randall is playing big minutes in the second row. I have no idea why. I like Chris Randall, by the way. I think he's good. I like him through the middle. I think he's a good little hooker. I think he's a good football player, but he's not an edge back rower. And you have Dave Fifita and Bo Firma in your team. Why is Chris Randall playing nearly 60 minutes in the back row? It makes no sense to me. I thought he got cooked a couple of times in defense as well. Like, just put him back into the middle rotation and be done with it. Like, you can't have Chris Randall playing there instead of Dave Fifita. Now, jumping to Dave Fifita here, 26 points for him, 59 minutes. Played a lot of this game through the middle. That didn't work how Hasler thought it would. I don't know how Hasler thought it was going to work, but whatever that was, that didn't work how he thought. So 88 run meters here, had the 16 tackles with 4 misses, the offload, couple of tackle breaks, but just did not look good at all. It didn't look, I don't know if he wasn't keen to play in the middle or he was carrying that injury, that hamstring, whatever it is there, whatever it was. Cowboys were on top. They were pumping too. Like, it just didn't look good. Dave Fifita should play 65 to 80 minutes in the back row every week starting. That's what should be happening. I get that, they want to improve this and that and everything else. No, I disagree. Just put Dave Fifita into the starting team, let him play footy. He's not going to be perfect, but he's so destructive. And, as a Titans team, you're missing Keanu Keeney, you're missing Jaden Campbell. You need all the attack and strike you can get. So I think he will be starting in the back row next week and playing big minutes. That's my assumption. I just think, I try to assume that the coaches are going to do the thing that I think would win them games, but sometimes they do have different ideas. So if you've got Dave Fifita, you stick with him. But if you don't have him, keep watching. Because that break even this week was 23, and that was a low break even, but he's got 26. So he's not going to rocket off in price anytime soon. I'm going to keep watching. I want to see him play 70-plus minutes at some point, and then I'll buy him. I might miss out on a big score by doing that. But you know what we've seen here? We've seen a lot of teasers. We've seen him sort of pop up, pop back into the shell, pop up, pop back into the shell. So I'm trying not to be trapped on this one. And I think I'll wait until we see that big score or until he's named to start. Like, if he was named to start next week, I might consider it then. Now, down the bottom here, I will mention Clifford as well, actually, just briefly. Clifford had a try, a line break, and a try assist in this game. It's got 27 points. Now, this is a really good lesson in fantasy. And he had the sin bin, so I won't discount that. But I think Clifford, earlier in this year, he was sort of pumping out a couple of really big scores to start. And I just remember sort of saying to a few of you guys, like, hey, he's this guy historically. He's probably going to still be that guy. He's gone back to being that guy, right? That sort of 40 average guy, right? So I just think sometimes it can burn you holding on to the past, but sometimes it's better to sort of stick with the status quo a bit and sort of say, you know what? I know who that guy is. I know what I'm seeing right now. I disagree with it. And for Clifford, that was the correct piece of analysis there. So, we all basically skipped him. But if you did jump on, just worth reflecting on that too. And this isn't meant to be a gotcha or anything like that either. Like I make this mistake all the time. Like I'll give you an example of the opposite, right? Just to shout out my own mistakes. Adam Doueihi last week, I bought Adam Doueihi thinking, you know what? He's pumped out massive numbers in the halves in the past. He's been very good in that position. Last time he played there, 2021, 2022. What I didn't really factor in enough was his injury history, especially recently. He sort of lost that half yard of pace that he used to have. And I noticed it a lot when he had those chances at breaks. In 2021, Adam Doueihi would have had a double against Parramatta last week, but he just didn't quite have that bit of speed that he used to have. So he's playing a different style of footy now. He's still playing good footy, but I was too attached to the old version of Doueihi to sort of see the new one. So there's a middle ground here with these things. I tend to lean towards the history, but with Clifford, the history definitely won out. Now, going down the list here, De Groot looks better and better every week, but 23 points is not great for your team. But I would stick with him if you have him. I just think he's looked reasonably solid recently. And down the bottom here, Campbell Gillard is 24 minutes. 24 minutes, 39 meters run, 18 points. I mean, through the origin period, if Fodawaker and Tino are selected, you'd think RCG is going to have to do something, right? And he hasn't done much so far this year. And then Cam Pereira, 8 points, Howe 6 points. And Brock Gray, lowest score of the week with a -6, had the sin bin, a couple of penalties. It's just a shocker for him. Good young player, but came on and copped that sin bin pretty much immediately. Then we got Storm and the Rabbitohs next, and I'll speed up a bit because I'm sort of ranting at you guys a bit now, but I love sharing my thoughts on these things. So Jack Whiten first, 65 points. Do not read into this. Do not read into this and go and buy Jack Whiten. I get these cheap, all that sort of stuff. I like Jack Whiten when he plays in the halves. At center, I got no interest. And that fend, that was a sick fend. It was good to see. No interest in Jack Whiten for fantasy. Cam Munster is one who I've been toing and froing about for a long time. I actually held Munster this week. I decided to hold him. I just sort of figured I couldn't do that much with the money that I would get from selling him. So I decided to stick with him. 62 points here. He was good. 8 tackle breaks, 121 run meters. That was his first game of the year over 100 run meters, right? That's saying a lot here. So maybe he's turning the corner. The issue is there's a small window now before Origin. I'm definitely going to sell him at Origin time. So I'll probably hold him for another 3 weeks, just see what happens. But that was a bit of a corner turner. Like 62 points, only had the one line break in terms of attacking stats. Hopefully he can keep on rising at this stage. Lero's had some good games, but no interest from me. I get about 2 DMs a week asking about Loero. Just no. Like the minutes just aren't consistent enough. Sofa Solomon will come back. Like there's a few things that can just mess with him. So I'm going to say no. Ewan Aitken is one that I'm probably going to say yes to, though. He's dropped 60K so far. He's down to 641K. Grabbed a 55 in 80 minutes. This was a classic Ewan Aitken performance. So 50 tackles with the 4 misses there. 4 tackle breaks, 77 run meters. He has more attacking stats in his game, by the way. Like plenty more attacking stats than this. So Ewan Aitken, I'll be eyeing him off at some point. Let me just double check something super quickly because I want to see the exact fixtures for South Sydney. So for Souths, what are we looking at? Because they got the buy in round. They obviously got the buy in round 12, but okay, they play round 15 and they play round 18. Yeah, that's actually really attractive. South Sydney players are going to be big buys after round 12. So Ewan Aitken will have 3 more games. It's probably not going to work the best in terms of his cash. He might start rising again, but I might buy him either just before or just after round 12. That's one guy I'm eyeing off. I think he's at a bit of a discount. Depends which back row pops up. Like, one of these back rows will be at a discount, and we'll be targeting them. I'll give you my thoughts as we approach those weeks. But Ewan Aitken's on the watch list 100%. And then let me know, guys, too. By the way, if you're listening along at this stage, what are we, half an hour in? If you enjoy hearing these loose ramblings of who's on the watch list and who I'm thinking about in 3 weeks' time and who I was sort of watching and blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff, let me know if you like it because I like sharing it. I think it's kind of enjoyable to sort of give you a bit of an inside look into, not just who's the buy this week, but what we're looking for and all that. And I sort of think it's helpful to share the logic that goes into these things because I find that the more I do that, the more high quality analysis I'm getting back in the comments as well from you guys. So, and some of the analysis you guys are giving me, by the way, is actually helping me as well. So, I'm really enjoying that two-way street. Now, down the list here, Katoa grabbed the try, 55 points, solid from him. Another one that could get cheap, actually. Marmazelis, rock solid here, 54 points, had the 49 tackles there. Bit of a mix of stats as well. 2 forced turnovers is nice, but Marmazelis is proving to be a rock solid hooker. Concern for the minutes a little bit, played 70. Dodd came on at hooker. I don't know if that's going to happen every week. I don't think it will. So I think Marmazelis owners, just stick with him. He'll be fine. You're probably holding him until like round 19, if not the whole year. So stick with Marmazelis 100%. Kolomatangi bounced back a bit, had some attacking stats that boosted his score. Blora has been in a bit of form lately as well, but not enough for me to buy. Taukamanu, back to 38 minutes. That was the thing I was worried about. The minutes just haven't been convincing, even though his PPM has been really good. Jai Gray played in the halves here, had a good game. Didn't really kick, but had some attacking stats and had a couple of try savers there as well. Then we got King, Totola. Jai Gray will play fullback, by the way, next week. Latrell will be suspended for 1 week. Then down the list here, Totola's been in a bit of form lately, by the way. He's been in a bit of form. He got a 43 in this one too. He's been in good form. I was thinking about it a bit last week, but just nah from me. They got too many guys. Like Arrow going back into the middle forward rotation, especially when Hubner comes back. I think that's going to hurt Totola's minutes. So, Ewan Aitken's return actually indirectly hurts Totola, which is sort of why I didn't really have him on any of the lists last week. Then down the list here, Codes, Kepi, Meaney. And Meaney was good in his return, 42 points, but he's just not goal kicking now. Pappenhausen is. So that's actually really good news if you have Pappenhausen. Jarom Hughes grabbed a 40 in this game. Hughes is very close to buyable. Very, very close to buyable. The 41 points was not anything to write home about at all, but he had the line break and the try assist. He had nearly 100 meters run and did the majority of the kicking. Now, to me, those are the indicators I was looking for. What we didn't see were any tackle breaks or offloads or any of that sort of stuff there. So that's the stuff that will boost him up into the 50s, and then big attacking games will boost him to the 60s and 70s. So I'm probably going to say, if you want to buy Hughes this week, I actually don't mind it. Like this week is fine. Next week is probably better. I'd say he's probably going to be a must-have next week. Like my prediction would be that he probably has a really big game this week, and we see him a must next week. Just confirming the fixture for the Storm next week, round 9 at Magic Round. He is up against the Raiders to finish the round. Now, the Raiders have leaked some points. Could be a goer. 6 p.m. on Sunday. Also, if you're going to be a Magic Round, I'm probably going to be doing a bit of an event on Caxton Street. So keep up with the Instagram for that, and I'll keep details there. But if you are going to be at Magic Round, just drop a comment as well. Let me know you're going to be at Magic Round, and I'll make sure you guys know about the event we're doing too. Now, rolling through here, Jarom Hughes, that was good from him. I mean, down the Pappenhausen, 39 with a try. Meh. 175 run meters is really good. The goal kicking is really good as well. So Pappenhausen actually, it doesn't play round 12, but is an interesting option at wing fullback with that goal kicking over Meaney. Because Meaney came back, it was a facial injury. So Meaney has no reason not to goal kick. Pappenhausen has just genuinely won that role. Latrell grabbed the 36 here, right next to Pappenhausen there. And for him, it was a weird little game. Like, I don't know, I'm just watching Latrell, and I'm a big Latrell fan, but there was a lot of times in this game where he sort of had the ball, he's looking up, he sees a one-on-one in front of him, and he's passing the ball to other guys with one-on-ones. And it's like, mate, you are the one-on-one. Like this whole play was to design the one-on-one matchup for you. It's not for the outside men. Like, because the back line for South isn't going that great. So I just that pass first mentality is killing me with Latrell. Now, he had the sin bin in this game. If you didn't have the sin bin, you're probably looking at a score around 50 points. But that lack of running game, it's killing me. And it's the same thing I was talking about with Nico Hines. It's just that pass first mentality way before the line, or getting the ball and you got a one-on-one and just not wanting to attack that. I think Latrell will figure that out. So I'm going to stick with him until the Origin period and then decide at Origin time if he gets picked for Origin what I do. If he doesn't get picked for Origin, then he'll be awesome to hold through that period. But if he does, then you probably sell at that point. But until then, I'm going to stick with him. It's 1 week suspension. Then he has 2 weeks as a big pod. I don't know. I'm just going to roll the dice. Like you want those sort of high ceiling guys. Like you want, and it's weird to say this year because Aaron Clark and Max King, a lot of guys who aren't normally high ceiling guys are pumping out massive scores. But traditionally, it's guys like Latrell who pump out those big scores and sort of a bit more volatile. So I'll stick with Latrell. And if you have Latrell, I'd hold him as well. Suafair Longo was good, played less minutes there. Isaiah Tass got a lot of ball from Latrell. He's sort of who I was thinking of. And that last play, that a minute and a half to go, if you want to go back and watch it, Latrell got that ball. There was big space on the inside. Little step. All he had to beat was Wishart. Wishart, who was a bit off balance coming across field, probably would have scored under the post. So he passed Isaiah Tass instead. Like that's kind of my problem here. Moale, sort of hit and miss every week. He goes big, goes small. Campbell Graham will be a very interesting option, around 13. I'll probably look at Campbell Graham. Now, if he keeps playing wing, he'll get dual position, but right now he's only a center. In this game, he scored 23 points, 150 run meters, but didn't have much else in the stat line there. So, yeah, for Campbell Graham, he's historically been quite good, but just had a lot of injuries. Round 13 gives you about a month to look at him. You want to see him sort of start to turn it around. You want to see South Sydney's attack get better as well. That's around when Cody Walker comes back. Latrell will be playing. They'll be at full strength. That's when I'll be thinking about Campbell Graham. If he's down around that sort of 400K, 380K mark. Because historically, he has been that sort of 45 average. So I think he could bounce back to that. Then down the bottom here, Sullivan, really quiet, 18 points. Just didn't get involved enough, had 7 missed tackles. Not much else to say. And no one super noteworthy down the bottom. Tallis Duncan, not a lot of minutes for him, which is strange because obviously Hubner was out, but I guess Arrow just absorbed all those minutes there. And Bentley Hape, he is he's all right at footy, but he's a shocking fantasy scorer. Shocking. 4 points with a try in this game, which is genuinely impressive. Probably the lowest fantasy score I've seen from a try scorer ever. And if you know of a better one than that, let me know. But I think that might be the lowest. Then through the Warriors and the Knights here, we've got Aaron Clark jumping up first. And Clark, mate, the lights weren't off for him. He absolutely killed it. 1 sec. Lights are back on. All right. Damn motion sensor lights. I get it's good for the environment, and I'm all for that, but come on. So Aaron Clark, 81 points here, 64 minutes is the encouraging part. That's absolutely massive minutes. And there was a bit of concern during the week about a 4-forward bench. People were talking about that and him getting less minutes this week. He did the opposite. He absolutely pumped out a huge game. Now, he started off by playing big minutes in his first stint and came back on pretty early and played out the game. The Warriors winning this game as well definitely helps him too. As in the 2 games that Aaron Clark has played 60-plus minutes, the Warriors have won. So they've beaten the Broncos and they've beaten the Knights pretty well here. Now, for him, this is he's not going to score 81 every week, right? But back-to-back 60-plus minute games, I think he's still a buy if you don't have him. And I'm just going to do a little victory lap. Last week, he was the top option on the buy list on buy, hold, sell. The number 1 buy for last week, right? He was the first guy on the list. Now, so a lot of you guys got on. I didn't. I prioritized a couple of other options over him, like Savala and Herbie Farnworth. So, I just thought for my roster balance, I needed to make those moves. But, man, I'm regretting it now because I thought he was going to get, I thought he was going to score like a 55. And he just had that massive game. So for him, stat line here, you got the try assist, you got the 45 tackles. Only 3 missed tackles there, 3 tackle breaks, the 4 offloads, the 155 run meters. He looked really good in real life. And the Knights are a pretty good team to play against for forwards, but he looked fantastic. So, yeah, ride the wave. If you don't have him, I think it's still good to get him. The minutes are the reason why I think it's still good. Back-to-back 60-plus minute games. He could average 60 points if he gets 60 minutes a game. Genuinely, it could be a 60 average this year. So, yeah, he's still underpriced. Go and get him. I'm all for it. Wade Egan, 72 points here. Yeah, it's a cracker of a game. He's been killing it. Grab the try there. 100-plus meters run. He's been the best hooker in the comp by a country mile this year. And there's no 2 ways about it. Wade Egan, underrated, actually. I will say this. I've talked about Egan as an origin option a couple of times in previous years and just sort of thought about him and thought, I'd love him off the bench. Just the durability is what always worried me. Now, this year, he seems to have fixed that. He's playing fully fit for the first time. We're seeing what he can do. I just reckon, you can't not pick Connor Watson because he is so versatile and he's really good off the bench at Origin. But you'd have to think about Egan, right? And I know you don't want to drop guys from a winning series. Robson was good last year. If it was my team, I'd think about Egan, though. I'd think about Egan. I just think he's very solid defensively, not quite as solid as Robson. I think Robson's a bit better defensively, but I think Egan offers more in attack. I think he's very creative, has a good running game, and I think he'd play well with the forwards that we're going to have in that Blues team. So, I think Egan should be in the conversation, and I just feel like he doesn't get talked about enough. So that's my little shout out for Wade Egan, and a lot of you guys are Warriors fans too. So you're probably going to agree with me. But at the same time, you Warriors fans probably want him for Clubland in round 12. So maybe we'll save the selection for game 2. Then Metcalf, 69 points, real bounce back for him. So this was just a solid game from Metcalf, and the attacking stats weren't crazy. Like a line break there, a try saver, a couple of goals, but he had the 20 tackles with no misses. He had the tackle breaks, the offload, the 2 forced turnovers, 100 meters run, 500 meters kicked. Like that is quintessential elite half fantasy play right there. This was the most impressive performance of Metcalf's year by far. If you have Metcalf now, I mean, he's shown signs that he was a sell a lot this year. Like, this year he's been quite volatile. He's looked very streaky, kind of bad for fantasy, if I'm being completely honest. But this week he looks like a real fantasy gun. So if you have him, you stick with him now and you see what happens and see if he can replicate this. If he goes out and scores a 70 next week, but he scores 2 tries, doesn't change my view of him. If he goes out and scores a 50 without any attacking stats, I actually rate that more highly going forward. So that's Metcalf, man. Yeah, that was a really good performance from him. If you got him, well done. Jackson Ford here came off the bench instead of starting, grabbed 2 tries, just totally absurd. Jackson Ford getting 2 tries. He's a good player, but the minutes are strange. Like, he went to the bench. We saw Niokore go into the prop spot. We saw Halasima go into the back row. It is a thing we talked about as a possible move last week that they should do. And often when you talk about that kind of thing, it is what they do, because, you have eyes, they have eyes. You're seeing sort of the same thing there. So, yeah, they made space for Halasima in the starting side. It meant Ford got less minutes, but the score was big. You're not targeting Ford for your fantasy team, though. Pompey was good. No interest in fantasy from me. Brayley, if he gets this role, so they played Phoenix Crossland off the bench, played a lot of lock in this game, which I think is a terrible strategy when you have Thomas Cant there, who is a machine in the middle. But hey, Adam O'Brien's doing some crazy stuff right now. But for Brayley, 58 points here. The 52 tackles is rock solid. Like, Brayley, if he gets this role, he's a must-have. But is he going to get this role? If he's named to start next week, he's a genuine buy option. Like, genuine buy option at, 400K. Yeah, 100%. If he's named to start. I just don't know if he's going to be named to start. Like, they've been changing their configuration every week. So I think they'll change it again this week and next week and the week after. And yeah, the Knights, man, it's very hard to call what they're going to do. Then Cape Ball solid, CNK very solid too. Had a few close calls with injuries, but looks all right. Brody Jones grabbed that try in the edge back row spot, which a lot of you were seething about. Fletcher Sharp, 50 in a defeat here. Very strong for him. 50 points in a game where he had no attacking stats, only 1 tackle break, and only 64 meters run. That is an impressive 50. Like, when you take into account what Sharp can do in terms of 150 meters in a game, big attacking stats, all that stuff, that 50 is base. That's base. That's a 50 base. Like, that is just crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So, yeah, as a Sharp owner, I'm stoked with that. Like, it's absolutely fine. Now, am I saying he's going to score 50 base every week? No, he's not going to score 50 base every week. But 33 tackles, 1 miss. Like, that's a 31 base in defense from a half or a wing fullback, really, like in my team. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Fletcher Sharp, if you got him, ride the wave. If you don't have him, I think he's still a buy. That was a solid performance. Then Dylan Lucas, again, this was a no-frills game. So exact same thing I'm about to say. 47 tackles, 83 meters run, nothing else. A couple of missed tackles, a penalty, but no other positives. No tackle breaks, no offloads, no attacking stats. That's fine, man. You're center, you're getting a 49 with no attacking stats, no tackle breaks, no offloads. You're cool with that. You're cool with that. You're riding that wave. That is absolutely fine. Like, your team is doing well if you're getting that 49 with no effort from Dylan Lucas. Then, sorry, not no effort, by the way. I mean, like, no exceptional plays from Dylan Lucas. You got what I'm saying. He's obviously putting in big effort in real life. Kai Pierce-Paul, 49 as well. Again, same thing. Had 6 missed tackles in this game. So minus 12 there, but 1 tackle break, nothing else, right? Just meters and tackles. So again, Kai Pierce-Paul, solid. Mitch Barnett, 50 minutes. It's crazy the low minutes he's playing, but you have to write him off completely at this point. He's just not playing the role that will make him fantasy relevant, and he might be in the origin side. So it's going to cook you. Matt Croker played more minutes than I expected. 45 minutes, 44 points. Dan Gagai was better in this game. He's getting pretty cheap, but I think he's sort of, just age-wise, he's not at the age where he's going to be throwing himself around like he used to. Leo Thompson copped the sin bin in this game that lowered his score, still 41 and 43 minutes. Greg Marzhew, good game from him in a team that was pounded. 40 points for your winger. You're cool with that. Like, you had the 6 tackle breaks there, a couple of offloads, 200 meters run. That was impressive from Marzhew in spite of the big loss there. Thomas Cant, by the way, I feel like I keep saying, these guys are impressive in spite of, but 38 points in 27 minutes. 38 points in 27 minutes. Like, this is why I said hold last week. And the 27 minutes, that's a bloody disaster. That's a disaster. But the 38 points is exactly why he's a hold. Because if that minute count jumps to 40, right? I don't think it will. I actually don't think it will. But if it does, maybe he's a 50 average. Maybe he's a 55 average. Like, the lock thing didn't work well this week. So maybe he gets into the lock spot next week. Like, you just don't know with Newcastle. And a guy like Thomas Cant, he's more than a PPM in the middle. If I had him, I'd hold him as long as I could. Because just the potential of him in terms of scoring production is just crazy through the middle. And if he was named at lock next week, I'd consider buying him. That's how high I am in him at lock, right? I probably wouldn't do it, but I'd really look at it. Then Cogger down the list here, Laban, Halasima. Halasima only played 39 minutes, so you're not that impressed, but 37 points in 39 minutes, basically base stats as well. Pretty good. He's a weapon. He's a weapon. So if you have him, stick with him. If you don't have him, don't buy him. Best, quiet, 34. Leah Tower, Crossland, Vamaga, 27 minutes for Vamaga. That's not great for him. Schiller had a bit of a shocker, but grabbed the try, so 26 points here. Schiller has to be quiet. And then, Kalen Ponga, 22 points. What's this guy doing? So he's 606K right now. He dropped 50K last week. He'll be down like 550 this week or 570 or, in that sort of range. But for Ponga, I can go through the stats with you here. Like, it's no attacking stats. You got the 4 tackles or 3 missed tackles. So you're looking at a -2 in terms of defensive output. You got 2 tackle breaks, which is quite low. No offloads, the 2 errors, 126 meters run, quite low as well. 144 kick meters, and a couple of extra stats like kicks diffused and that sort of jazz. Now, just not really creating anything. Like, that's the issue. And I'll go into this more in buy, hold, sell, because my view is you have Ponga and you've copped a 200K loss now, right? You've copped the 200K loss. Like, I don't have Ponga, right? So if he scores well, I might buy him. And then I'll get the scores, right, for a 200K discount. Now, if you have him, you almost have to ride the wave. And you can sell. Like, you absolutely can sell. But I personally think if you think he's going to bounce back, you have to ride the wave. And with Kalen Ponga, he's a guy who's won the Dally M. He has had bad half seasons before. He has been down to 500K before. Like, we've seen it a bunch of times. And he gets hot and he jumps up to 800K. It's going to happen this year. I can say with certainty that Ponga will be over 700K this year at some point. I guarantee that. Now, when is the big question? And do you want to persist through the origin period is probably the other question, because he probably gets picked for the Maroons. So if you have a good trade, you can sell, but I would personally hold. And my advice is going to stay hold for basically the whole year. Like, there's no point where he becomes a sell unless he was injured or, there's nothing wrong with him. The issue is that he's playing first receiver, and the Knights are trying to play Ponga at first receiver so he can facilitate for all these other guys, and they're changing their halfback every week, and Crossland's now playing lock, and like they're playing these weird configurations that change every week, and they're just not letting Ponga play fullback. So at some point he'll go back to playing fullback and he'll average 55 or 60 or 60. You know what I mean? Like, he'll pump up again. So my view is hold, but I get your frustrations, and if you want to rage sell, you can. If you can do it. I just don't think you should. I think you'll regret it if you do. That's all I'm going to say. I'll talk about it in buy, hold, sell, but that's my perspective on Ponga. But again, that could be me hanging on to the past a bit too much. Like, I do that sometimes, where I'll sort of be like, this guy is this guy. Ponga's proven this over a 5-year career. We know who he is. He's going to keep being that guy. Every now and then you're wrong, but most of the time you're right with that take, right? Roosters and Dragons up next. That was a cracker of a game. The Roosters tore them to shreds. And I say a cracker because it was just entertaining to watch rather than a good game. But Sandon Smith is at the center of it. For him, I got to read the stat line out for you because it's crazy. So 2 tries, 7 goals. You have the try assist, 3 line breaks, 16 tackles with 3 tackle breaks, 5 missed tackles, so -10 there, 164 run meters, the 172 kick meters, and a sin bin to boot. Like, just a ridiculous game of footy. So if you take out those negatives, he might have scored 100. Like, without the sin bin, he actually might have scored 100. Now, 75 points for him. A lot of people sold him. I sold him last week, like the week before, so a couple of weeks ago. A lot of you guys sold this week. You know, I wouldn't regret it too much. Like, this was Sandon Smith's career game. Like, he pumped out, 2 tries, like 3 line breaks. A lot of things sort of broke his way. One of those was a long-range try. He dummied Gutho and scored himself. Like, there's just been a lot of crazy plays in this game. So I wouldn't freak out too much. I'm not going to go buy him. Like, he'll bump up in cash a bit now because of this, but I think we know who Sandon Smith is. And I think at the time, like, I'd be kind to yourself when you look at this one and sort of regret it, because he's a guy who in 7 rounds hadn't gone over 50. So this ceiling wasn't really in his repertoire, and he's had this game, right? He's had this game. Now he's in his repertoire, but I think be kind to yourself when you look at this one. And if you held him, by the way, be extra kind to yourself because you crushed it. You nailed it. You win. You win on this one, especially if you loopholed him into your team. Tedesco, 70 points, and Teddy was on a bit of a lower score and then sort of really ramped up in the last sort of 5 minutes with some base stats as well. But 2 tries here for 70 points. Hadn't had a try in the first 7 games of the year. So 0 tries in 7 games, then grabbed 2 in this one. That is what I've kind of been waiting for Tedesco. I just didn't like him as a buy because he was scoring all right, but without any real sort of support or attacking stats. And even with the 70, the average is a 49.6. Like, I'm not targeting Teddy. I think he's playing well in real life. It's not really translating to fantasy. And I think he's a risk of playing Origin. Like, it's not a guarantee at all, but let's call it a 20% risk of playing Origin, right? That's enough for me to steer away from him and go for Fletcher Sharp or something like that instead. And, I'd take the Fletcher Sharp 50 with nothing in his stat line as opposed to Tedesco 70 with the 2 tries, 2 line breaks, try assist, 200 meters plus run, 7 tackle breaks, flawless defense, all that sort of thing. So, yeah, Teddy, if you got him, by the way, ride that wave. But again, I'm just sort of thinking about him as a buy. Wait for round 12 is my take there. Then Savala, this was a defining game for him. We saw a bit of difference here. So I'll shout out some differences because obviously we saw the attacking stats. But defensively, instead of 24 tackles, he made 26 this week. So still pretty consistent. He went 24-24 the first 2 weeks, 26 now. He's gone from 3 missed tackles the first 2 weeks to no missed tackles in this one. So good defensive numbers there for him. Run meters have gone up a bit. He was around that 22, 24 mark. It's now 58, so that's jumped up a little bit. But did run in that try, so that might have been the difference there. Kick meters were a lot lower in this game, and Sandon actually took a higher percentage this game, so that's actually a bit of a negative for Savala. But then you've got the try as well. That definitely helps. A bit of goal kicking in this game too. So, yeah, for Savala, like, this 57 was it was solid. It was really solid. Like, I feel like, he's not going to be flawless in defense every week. He's a young half, right? But I think that attacking game is coming out more and more every week. And I think we can expect to see that come out. And there's a chance he wins the spot over Sandon Smith when Sam Walker comes back. Not because he's a better player than Sandon necessarily, but more because Walker probably plays more that 6 role anyway. So Savala can play that 7 role, have the long kicking game in place and sort of steer the team around a little bit. And Sam Walker can play, free-flowing 6 footy. So that's what I see there. But, Savala, he's a guy you can probably forecast for, I don't know, a 40 average. Let's call it a 40. I'm probably being a little generous, but I'd say about a 40 average there. I'd put him in a similar box to maybe a bit behind the Stafford Toa. Like that's kind of where I've got him sitting in my head. If I was choosing one of them next week, I haven't looked at the fixtures, but he's sort of in that box with like a Stafford Toa or, maybe Tamale is in that sort of similar area as well. Like one of those guys, like he's in that category for me. A bit ahead of Jenkins, bit behind, an Egan, for example, though Egan's minutes, we'll talk about that in a sec. Down the list here, Val Holmes is good. Noani Tuase started hot, 3 line breaks in this game. On the wing, he's very interesting. He's actually not the worst option to buy, but probably won't do it myself. But yeah, he could be an interesting option to buy. Dual positions very effective. So if you need a wing, fullback, or center, which a lot of you don't, by the way, if you do need those positions, then it could be an option. Toby Couchman came back to earth a little bit here. 48 points in 49 minutes. No attacking stats. 85 meters run is quite low for him as well. Had the 1 offload, 3 tackle breaks, 33 tackles, and only the 1 error and missed tackle. So for him, it's just PPM. It's PPM. This is a bit more normal. I think the minutes are probably a bit lower this week, though. But we saw Gula come back, and I'm going to have a look at the minutes as we go down this list. But Gula coming back definitely doesn't help. Egan got less minutes as well. We saw a few other guys pick up more minutes instead. Last week, Hamish Stewart had the HIA after 11 minutes. That boosted Couchman's minutes. And there's been some injuries as well. I think this is on the lower end for Couchman. I think you probably, if you're being sensible, you're probably forecasting maybe a 55 to 62 kind of average, right? Which he's priced at 56 right now. So you're not complaining. Like, he's doing his job, and you definitely keep him. But if you don't have him, this is your permission not to buy him. And I don't have Couchman. I recommend him for all you guys, and then I sort of did cute, crazy things with my team. But I won't buy him at this point until about round 13 if he looks rock solid then. Jaden Sewer, I think he plays Origin, but good game from him. DeBellin, a few more minutes for him this week as well. That definitely 8 in, so 57 minutes for DeBellin. Then we go down the list, Flanagan, Wong, 75 minutes, so not quite the 80, but 40 points is okay. The issue is he had the try assist and the line break in this game. Still only got the 40, so the scoring's not been that good for Sewer Wong since that big game. That's probably a good example of why not to chase those big scores, right? Then Blake Steep. Oh, by the way, if you bought Wong before the 89, disregard, because you've gotten a great score, great average out of him. But if you bought him after that, you've really copped it. Steep, solid, grabbed the try in this one. Damien Cook, 47 minutes. Meh. Clemmer played 43 minutes, so got some more minutes in this game. I don't know if he's going to command those minutes going forward, but that's a bad sign for a lot of our Dragons boys. Then Radley, White, Connor Watson, Gus Crichton, all in that sort of 33 to 37 bracket. Nafahu White, this is sort of what I was talking about a while ago. Like, he's back to that 50-minute role. So if they don't have an injury, he plays 50 minutes. 37 is lower than what you'd expect, though. I think he's more like a high 40s in 50 minutes kind of guy. So if you have him, I'd probably stick with him through the Origin period. Although, who do they miss during Origin? So they miss Connor Watson, and Zach Docker-Clay goes to hooker. So it doesn't really impact the rotations that much. And then they miss Gus Crichton, and we're getting Nat Butcher, Egan Butcher back. Radley's back fit. So maybe those guys just absorb the Gus Crichton minutes. It sort of makes me think that maybe you could sell Nafahu White. If you have a good trade for him, you could sell him, but his Origin schedule is absolutely fantastic. So maybe it's a tough one. It's a very tough one. I'd probably hold him if I had him. But if you have a good trade, you could sell. Connor Watson is one that, 34 is not great. The 29 tackles is quite low. 110 run meters is pretty good. But again, no offloads, no tackle breaks, no attacking stats. That's very rare from Connor Watson. He's been a bit out of form recently, though. And that average has dropped down to a 53. Price is sort of dipping as well. Again, Watson's probably one that I don't think he's guaranteed to make Origin. We have a new Origin coach. I think he's like a 70% chance of making the Blues side on the bench, right? So I think he's a good shot, but not guaranteed by any means. And if Watson doesn't make Origin, then he's going to be one of the most important players to your team through the Origin period. So for that upside, I would say he's a hold. But if you have a really good trade or whatever it is, you think he's going to make Origin or that, then you could sell. Gus Crichton, firm sell. I sold with that groin injury, came back with a 33. Absolute dud of a game from him. Egan Butcher, good PPM, but no minutes. Dylan Egan, 48 minutes, played his edge minutes and didn't really play a lot in the middle. 31 run meters is not good at all. No tackle breaks, no offloads. Just a pretty boring stat line for Egan. Down the list here, Lenu, Sloan, Gutho back to earth after that big game versus Parramatta about a month back. Toya at 27, 60 run meters from Toya is deeply concerning to me. 3 errors as well. Just not a game where it came together for Toya at all. And that I guess it's a new young halves pairing, so maybe that's it. But that is what he's going to be playing with. I'm still going to hold him, I would say, through this Origin period. But that 60 meters is just, it's pretty average. And his boom games aren't that high either. He's sort of that. I'm sort of losing faith a little bit, if I'm being transparent. Laurie down the list, Gula. So Gula played the 43 minutes. Gula could play more than that as well, but Gula wasn't that effective in that game. So maybe he plays less. I don't know, Gula, Clemmer, these guys can all play bigger minutes if they need to. And Ilias, Leilua played the 50. For now, was good in real life, but it was out of position a little bit now. Every now and then you saw a few times where Val Holmes is sort of looking up and for now wasn't in the right spot he was expecting there. So I wouldn't expect him to keep a spot. Also had a full field try and scored 24, right? So not ideal. Billy Smith, quiet. Little, really quiet. Zach Clay, again, quiet as well. And then Fiketti, not a lot of minutes for him too. So we'll keep pumping through, and we're jumping across to the Broncos and Dogs, which was the final game of the round. So I'll give you this one, and I'll give you sort of my final takes on this round. But Broncos Dogs, we finish off with the other middle forward. So if you've gone all the way through, you've started at Terrell May, you finished at Payne Haas, 96 points for him, 65 minutes played. He looked like a man on a mission from the start of this game, just absolutely killing them. And this is sort of what we talked about during the week, right? So you try and pick these stories and you try and pick out guys going to play and what's going to happen. There was two things at play here for the Broncos v Dogs game that I really liked. One was the Dogs are a bit undersized through the middle. So Max King's their big prop, but then you got Curran, who's, he's a prop, lock, edge back rower. Reed Marnie, he can miss a tackle as well. And then their bench props are a bit lighter too. So you've got a team that's a little bit undersized, understaffed through the middle, up against Payne Haas, Pat Carrigan, this Broncos middle forward rotation that's completely unstoppable. So I like that. And then the other side of it was the Dogs are undefeated and the Broncos had just lost to the Warriors. And I felt like Payne Haas was going to take responsibility for making sure this team got go forward and created some points. Now, both those things happened. He was playing like a man on a mission. And I get that it was pouring rain. A lot of people jumped off him as captain when they saw it was pouring rain. I just sort of thought, you know what? It's a downgrade. It's still good. It's still good. And it was good. His offloads were good. 5 offloads in this game, 6 tackle breaks, not a single negative stat. Try assist definitely helped. The offload try assist, that was a super useful play. It was a plus 12. I dropped that on the Instagram story. But yeah, a little plus 12 for him there. 257 run meters is fantastic. 32 tackles. It was just 96 points with, it's an 84 with no attacking stats. It's 96 with the try scoring play, right? So, the try set up play. So it's just great. So I think just Payne Haas, Terrell May, they got to be captains. And yeah, Cleary, I don't know. I never really considered Cleary. I haven't captained Cleary since round 2. It's Terrell May or Payne Haas in my head. The base is just so good. And they're going to have some bigger attacking games. There's going to be 120, 130 at some point from Payne Haas or Terrell May. Adam Reynolds was good, but a lot of injuries. A lot of injuries in this game. He sort of kept clutching at shoulders and everything else. 85 points is big, though. He's bumped that average back up to 55. So, that's all right if you have Reynolds, but you're not going to chase him at all. Xavier Willison is an interesting one. So for Willison, he played in the edge back row spot, scored the first try of the game. Has a good stat line here too. So defensively perfect, 5 tackle breaks, 155 run meters, try in the line break, 59 tackles. So 59 points in 80 minutes. 451K. Price will jump up. It'll be more like, let's be conservative and say sort of high 400s. So he's going to be 480K or whatever it is there. 480K for Xavier Willison. I guess the question is, does he start in the back row? Now, Jordan Ricky was out for this game with an infection. So Jordan Ricky is 100% one of the back rows. The question you're asking yourself is, does he beat out Jack Jezewski, who has a broken arm? Yes. Jaden Hunt, who was demoted to the bench previously. Yeah. And Brendan Piakura, who has a lot of potential, but hasn't been great this year. And wasn't great in this game either. Maybe. There's a chance that Xavier Willison plays 80 minutes on the back row. Maybe not 80, probably more like 60. It could be interesting. It's expensive, right? You're paying a lot of money, like 400s, right? But Xavier Willison and Selwyn Cobbo, I'll talk about him in a sec as well. They're interesting options at that price point. Now, I want to see teams next week, but I could be tempted by Wilson because the other part of this is through the origin period when Payne Haas and Pat Carrigan are out for those, major bye rounds. You've got them playing origin and you've got Xavier Wilson being the top prop there with Corey Jensen. So that's the interesting part there too. The issue with that case that I'm making is they don't play round 12 or round 15. So the first 2 origin weeks they don't play, but round 18 they do. Yeah, it's probably not appealing enough. I'll look at this. I'll watch this. If he's named a start, I might look at Xavier Wilson. If you're in a draft league as well, definitely go grab him with your waivers. He could be a good option. Paddy Carrigan, solid. Preston saved it with a try, but it was, no tackle breaks, no offloads for Preston. He scored 54. That try was an 8-pointer, so he called it 46. That's fine. The base stats are good. Preston's averaging 58.7. He's doing his job. Kick out was pretty good as well. Had 2 try assists. One scored the 51. Sexton, pretty consistent lately. Very consistent. He's kind of like Fogarty, a bit of a Fogarty light here. 12 run meters there. Does all the kicking, sort of steers the team around. Someone Cobbo with a 47. This is actually a really appealing score for me. So for Cobbo, 150 run meters there. You got the 4 tackle breaks, flawless in terms of errors and missed tackles. And he's got the try assist there too, with the goal kicking as well. So yeah, Cobbo, you could look at Cobbo 100%. Like that could be an option you target. I like him a lot actually at this point. Like, he scored the 8 the week before on the wing, but this was a good score. He's got 3 more weeks before Origin 1. I guess the question is, does he get picked for Origin? If he does, not as appealing. If you don't think he gets picked for Origin, then maybe he's an option. It's a weird one. Like last year, he played game 1 and then he didn't play game 2, I believe, from memory. And Billy Slater said something about him wanting to focus on himself, or I can't remember the exact story. It was a bit strange, but I'm going to have to look into this a bit more to sort of figure it out. If you are a Queenslander, though, let me know if you think Cobbo will get picked for Origin. But I like that stat line a lot from him. So Cobbo, good target at that price. Just not a buy cover guy. Max King, this is a more normal game for King. Like, don't freak out if you have King. It's all good. Stick with him. But it was just a quieter game. So 95 run meters, 39 tackles, nothing else except for missed tackles, right? This is a pure base game, lower minutes too. I do think this is what's going to happen to the minutes though. Like we talked about this a bit last week and it didn't happen. But Curran going back into the middle forward rotation definitely hurts King. Now Curran is out suspended, I believe, for 3 weeks, and Tupanua is 5 weeks. So, Max King might just go back to those big minutes again. So if you have him, stick with him. If you don't, you could hope for a price drop before round 12, but it probably won't happen significantly. Then Shibasaki grabbed that try, 42 points, solid. Arthurs grabbed the try as well. Harry Hayes, he's been a bit of a goer this year, but it's just too late now. Billy Walters grabbed the try there too. 56 minutes is big minutes for him, but 325k is not an absurd price, just not a good enough Origin schedule to consider. Stephen Crichton will play Origin. Karaz, 36. Karaz was on 3 points at halftime. He was on 3 at halftime. Came out, had the try assist, had a few more tackles there, tackle break, 4 offloads, 150 run meters. Like, he came out in the second half and he scored 33 points. So the second half was fantastic from Karaz. The first half was a bit of a disaster. Now, if you're a Karaz owner, don't stress it. Like, it was a game where they got pounded by the Broncos. It was pouring rain. This is as bad a game as you could have for your winger. And he still came out and pumped out the second half. So, yeah, Karaz is fine. Stick with him. I think the fact that he had so many errors in this game as well, I think it actually might help you as a Karaz owner, because I think it might push him down the Origin rankings a little bit. It just wasn't a great performance under pressure from him. But for your fantasy side, you don't mind. He's not going to get dropped from the Dogs, so it's all good. And Zeri, Hunt, Ben Hunt, still scoring low, 34. Corey Jensen, not enough minutes there. Staggs, Mariner, Hetherington, Montoya, Marnie. Reed Marnie, this is a real story here. 44 minutes in this game. So those minutes have been declining every week. He's losing minutes, to bloody hell, what's his name? The bloke who was playing halves before, Hayward. Hayward. He's losing minutes to Hayward at hooker. I personally think Marnie's a better hooker than Hayward, but they're obviously a bit off Marnie right now. He might go to another club. You don't know what's going to happen. He's going to get cheap though. So just watch him get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and get ready to move if something happens. Josh Curran, only 37 minutes in this game. Obviously the sin bin definitely didn't help, but he'll be out for, I think it's 3 weeks from memory. I'll confirm that before buy, hold, sell. Piakura, 63 minutes, 25 points is peak Piakura. Just not a lot of stats in this one. 64 meters, 23 tackles. And then down the list, Kurt Mann, quiet. Connor Tracy, quiet. Corey Pakes, Matt Burton. Burton will be out for 1 week with a suspension. This stat line from Burton is pretty gross. It's not good if you have Burton. He should have been sin binned, by the way, I reckon, in this game as well. So you got lucky you didn't get sin binned and score 13 instead. But 7 tackles, you had the offload, a missed tackle, 63 run meters, and very little kicking as well. So for Matty Burton, he's better than this. He'll come good, but this is him getting cheap. Probably a must-have round 12. Probably a must-have. So again, you can only play 2 halves in round 12. So just keep an eye on that. If you have Matt Burton, you probably stick with him at this point. He's going to drop cash, but so what? You just got to cop it. And then bottom list, Tupanua will be out for 5 weeks with that, that kick, and then the other thing. They had a few things going on. Just a crazy game from Tupanua. Obviously, he was fired up, which I don't mind, but didn't work out for him that well in that game. Now, that is our done and dusted for this video. So in terms of recap, I would say sort of 950 to 980 is a pretty good score. If you've got a score more in the realm of 1,000 plus, you want to move up the ranks. Just checking if there's any updates. There has been updates. Okay, so I've jumped up a little bit. Who do we have update? Terrell May, 104. All right, I'm finishing on that. Bloody hell, 100 plus for Terrell May. Oh, that's hurt my rank with all the captains of Terrell May coming out. But yeah, huge score. Okay, that'll finish us off. Terrell May, 100 points. Should I just quickly? I'll just quickly hit his stats. 104, got 41 tackles, three tackle breaks, 216 run meters. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. 104 points. 104 points with no attacking stats. Like, just transcendent from this dude. Terrell May will pay nasty captain next week. I think Terrell May, if he's playing 80 minutes, probably got to be him. All right, guys, that's me done and dusted. If you went 1,000 plus this week, congratulations. If you didn't, that's right. As always, next week, good luck this week. And I'll try to make this a bit shorter going forward, but there's a lot to talk about this week. Peace, guys.